What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to show you something that will completely change how you think about marketing. And what we're going to do is we're going to use manus.im. Manus.im, it is an incredible autonomous AI agent, period. If you need an expert in anything, if you need deep research in anything, Manus is the tool for you. Much better than any of the GPTs by themselves, because this uses multiple GPTs in tandem, in parallel. But we're going to use manus.im to create customer avatars. And we're going to do that. We're going to use this so that we can do deep customer research. And the best part of this is that what I'm going to show you right now, it used to take marketing professionals weeks and weeks of research, months. And now we're going to do that in less than 10 minutes. So here's the thing. Most businesses are building their marketing based on just informed guesses. Just what the owner or the people who are the SMEs in the market, they think that they know their customers, and so then they make informed guesses about how they should market to their customers. And that is exactly why over 95% of products fail to find their market. And we're going to fix this using principles from Eugene Schwartz. Eugene Schwartz, they made a TV series called Mad Men, based off of the life of Eugene Schwartz. And he wrote this legendary book called Breakthrough Advertising. Now, Eugene Schwartz, his whole thing was, he came about, I think it was probably in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere around there. And he is the one who did the Coca-Cola commercials and the Coke commercials around Christmas with the polar bears and the Clydesdale. All of that is based off of his work. And what he said was, and this is his book, by the way, it's pretty expensive, but it is an absolute classic. He's the godfather of marketing and advertising, Eugene Schwartz. Anyway, we're going to use the principles of Eugene Schwartz from his legendary book, Breakthrough Advertising. Specifically, what he did is he talked about 5 stages of market awareness, is what he talked about. So today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on what's called the problem-aware avatar. So I have a GitHub here, right? github.com/Fenego/vibe business planning. And in this, if you select 0_research.md, what you're going to see is you're going to see a prompt. This entire thing here is the first prompt that we're going to give to Manus. So this isn't just going to be another customer persona exercise. What we're going to do is we're going to create a deep psychological profile of your customer, and it's going to be so detailed that you're going to know your customer better than your customer knows themselves. And this is what makes manus.im special. Manus.im, it's going to run autonomously in the cloud while you just sit back and watch it work. Like I said, this used to take weeks or months of market research, and now it's going to be done in less than 10 minutes. And unlike ChatGPT, where you have to babysit it every step of the way, Manus is agentic. It's actually going to do the research, then analyze the output. Then it's going to deliver you a complete customer avatar while you sit back and grab a coffee. All right, let's jump right into it. So I'm going to go over here to Manus. This is the prompt that we're going to give to Manus. All right, and you can see here in the prompt, I tried to tokenize it so you can see exactly what you need to fill out. I think that's it. Oh yeah, and right here. You'll have the offer again here, the target market, and the benefit. Let me go back over here to Manus. You see Manus has a nice, clean interface. It's intuitive, but what's happening behind the scenes is pure magic. So let me start here with, I went ahead and took the prompt here, copied the prompt, and I simply pasted the prompt into Notepad. And in my case, I have a use case here where I'm looking to sell a book. I call my book Productive Struggle, right? And this is the audience right here. It's so I filled that in for the offer. And I'm telling you here that in this book, if you look, in this prompt, I'm asking it to consider an unaware avatar. An unaware avatar is a customer, a potential customer that doesn't even know that they have a problem. So if you have somebody, let's say, that is extremely obese, but they don't think so, if you go and try to sell them gym memberships, then you're wasting your time because they're unaware that they even have a problem. Now, there's also problem-aware avatars, and a problem-aware avatar is a potential customer that knows that they have a problem. They are problem-aware. They don't know what the potential solutions are. They don't know what the potential products are. They just know that there's a problem. Let me kind of say the quiet part out loud. This here, that's your target customer right there. Those are the people that you want to target. You want to put all of your marketing around that problem-aware avatar right there. Then you're going to have customers out here, potential customers, that are what's called solution-aware. They're aware that a problem exists. They're aware that there are solutions to that problem. They just don't know which vendor to select. That's a different kind of customer. It requires a different kind of marketing for that kind of customer. Then obviously there's product-aware customers, customers that know a product exists, they know that solutions exist, and they know that there's different types of products that implements different types of solutions. They're just trying to figure out which one is the best one for them. And then lastly, there's the most aware potential customer. This should be you. These are the customers that know the problem, they know the solutions, they know what solution goes with every single use case. These are the 5 stages of awareness. In my use case, I am interested in targeting college professors, college administrators, people that are aware that AI is a disruptive force in education, K through 12 education and higher education. They're aware of that. They're problem aware. But because it's a novel problem, they don't really understand what the solutions are, let alone what the potential vendors are that can solve those problems. So in my case, that's what a problem-aware avatar looks like. So my audience is going to be educators, and their problem is going to be the disruption of AI in their day-to-day work. That is a problem for them. So I went ahead and put some pricing, and notice here for the pricing, I said, I'm going to sell this book for between $30 and $50. I need you, Manus, to do the research here. Right? The book is the main offer, but I also want to offer workshops and some other things as well. I'm just filling this in. Right? Educators is my audience, and the benefit is that they'll learn how to effectively teach and learn with AI. And I added this. Remember, this is about selling a book, not a subscription. So that, my friends, is the prompt. And what I want you to notice, here I'm going to go ahead and put this in, Control A, copy. Let me move this out the way for a second. And by the way, in Manus, there's 2 different modes in Manus. I'm going to just paste this here. And make sure you select agent mode right here. This they call adaptive mode. This adaptive mode is just like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. You won't get the real benefit. You really want the agent mode, okay? So there's my prompt. And what I'm going to do in my case is if you have some additional information about your business, you can just add it. So in my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few documents that are about the oh, I know where it is right here. One second. So I'm going to add a couple of documents here that are about the here, I'll even show you what they are. So this is the actual book here, just so you can see. These are all extra. You don't have to have these here. And this is just a description of the book here. Again, this is all extra. You don't have to have it, but if you have some additional information about the business that you're interested in, feel free to go ahead and add it. So just make sure it's in agent mode. This is very expensive, so you want to watch your credits over here and let it fly. So as this is going over here, what you're going to see is that it's going to be multiple GPTs, and the first thing it's going to do is think up a plan on how it's going to solve your problems. If you loaded any extra content, it's going to read through all of the content that you provided. Notice I loaded a PDF. It converted that PDF into a text document. Now it's going through. Every one of these is a different tool or a different GPT. Okay, so it's going in, it's doing research here. And this is when I say this is agentic, this is what I mean. All right, so it's doing deep research in here so that it can go in and execute on my prompt. Now let me bring my prompt back over here. I just want to get this going because sometimes this can go up to 15, 20 minutes. It can go, quite some time. You can see now it's building out the avatar here. But let me go back over here. So remember, the idea here is that I want to start thinking about my customers, right? Who are they? What are their psychological triggers? What's the buying behavior? For my customer, what are their hidden fears and desires? How do they make decisions? What are their decision-making patterns? So think about it. Think about what's going on here. Look at this. What Manus is doing, it's already thinking through the problem. It's breaking down the task into multiple components. It's analyzing market segments. It's understanding the psychological drivers. It's mapping the customer journeys. It's building empathy profiles. The beautiful thing is you can see exactly what Manus is thinking as it's going through here. When it says Manus is working, it's going through doing the research. You can see where it's pulling all of its research from. And when we finish, we have a completely transparent, problem-aware avatar. This is my customer that I'm trying to sell to. Productive struggle, a research-based approach to teaching and learning with AI. Now, in your case, you'll have a different audience, of course. But for my customer, we call this avatar Sarah Martinez, female, 7th grade science teacher and department lead, makes almost $70,000 a year, married with a couple of children, has a master's in education, a bachelor's in biology. Now, what makes this problem-aware avatar crucial is that Sarah knows something is wrong with her current approach to teaching. She knows that already. This is just more information about my customer. These are the types of stores that they go to. I go to Lululemon. I love Lululemon. Right? They wear Adidas. These are the types of hobbies that your avatar usually has. Their favorite movies, their favorite books, favorite websites, best social media influencers. This here, though, is where it starts to get really valuable if you're trying to market to this avatar. This is very specific, too. Very specific. These aren't random choices. Each of these details that you saw up above, it came from deep market research. But now we start to get into the major values that they hold, because you're going to align your marketing message with your customer avatar. You're going to do a psychological deep dive from right here. the major values that they hold, their major life victories, major life failures. So we can start to consider some smart market questions. What keeps them up at night? Remember, people are going to be driven towards their dreams, or they will retreat from their fears. You need to understand what both of them are. In this case here, we're asking what keeps your customer up at night. And in my case, it's how to reach students who are completely disengaged, especially after the pandemic changed education. She worries about the achievement gap and whether she's doing enough to prepare her students to continue on in more advanced science. That's what keeps her up at night. What they're secretly afraid of, what they're angry about, their frustrations. Think about this. This is exactly where you want to position your marketing. So these are the dominant negative emotions. You can see that we're going to integrate all of this into our marketing messages. Overwhelm, inadequacy, frustration. And we can go on the other side, because in our marketing message, we're going to amplify the negative, and then we're going to push towards the positive, because this is where they want to be. So that one prompt is extremely, extremely powerful. The price, remember I told the AI to do some research on price, okay? So I think $39.99 might be the sweet spot now that I look at this. Okay, so this is our problem-aware avatar. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on. If you go back to the GitHub, there's a diary over here. Now that we understand our customer avatar, I'm going to copy in the diary. I'm just going to paste it into Manus. Okay, take all the output from the problem-aware avatar. I'm actually going to download this as Markdown just to make sure. And I'm going to plop it right in here. And what we're going to ask it is, I want you to imagine that you are the problem-aware avatar that we just created. I just downloaded that from that prompt, pasted it in here. And you are a highly introspective and you love to journal. So take all of that output from up above, and what I want you to do is I want you to focus on their dominant negative emotions. Use visual words and writing. Be very visceral. Be emotional. And also be very creative. If your perfect customer, the problem-aware avatar, if they were writing a journal entry from before they used the product, what would that diary entry look like? What would it look like the first time they used the product? What would it look like the last time? The last time, or after rather, they used the product, not the last time. And the reason that we do this is because most people, I'm going to go ahead and launch this, most people are going to be their most honest with themselves and they're most vulnerable when they're writing in a journal. So we want to know, what would that journal look like? Again, we're doing deep market research here. We're trying to get into the minds of our customer. So if you look here, this is before they use the product. The house is finally quiet, kids asleep, dishes done. The cursor blinks mockingly at me from the empty lesson plan. 32 students tomorrow, 32 minds that deserve better. I'm looking through Twitter and I'm seeing somebody else talking about AI. Right? Then falls asleep, feels impossible. Sleep feels impossible when your mind is a hurricane of inadequacy. I mean, that is before. And then the very first time they, in this case, using the product now, what does it feel like? This is what I'm hoping it feels like. In this case, when they use my product for the first time, in my case, is reading the book. I'm sitting in my classroom before the chaos begins. The book, open to chapter 1, the morning light streams through the window, blah, 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 blah. The words on these pages aren't talking at me, they're talking to me. The productive friction framework, I had to read that 3 times. My highlighter hovering over the text like a hummingbird, uncertain where to land. That's what we're looking for. You can see it's already starting to put together a roadmap for how you want to message your customer. And then after they use the product, essentially what you want them to say is, you know what? I don't know how I could ever do this without your product. That's where you want them to be. So we've created a customer avatar, number 1. Number 2, we created diary entries. And now what we want to do is we have an avatar, we have diary entries, and now what we want to do is we want to create a brand for your product. So I'm just going to copy this right here. This is the entire branding prompt. Just going to copy this. And I don't really need to do anything for this. Let me just paste it in. I was afraid it was going to do that. All right. Let me go back here. So what you're going to do here is you're going to start by understanding that you are not an expert product manager. You're going to understand that you are not an expert UX or UI designer. You're going to understand that you are not the best in the world when it comes to developing brand strategies or a lead engineer. You're going to start with that. So what you're going to do is you're going to leverage this prompt right here. And this prompt here says, hey, Manus, you're going to be a best-in-the-world brand strategist, a best-in-the-world lead UI UX designer, a best-in-the-world lead front-end developer. You're going to be best in the world. And you're going to take all of that research that you just did, the problem-aware avatar, the diary entries, and you're going to use that to create a formal brand identity and design. So let me go back here to Manus, just so I can be clear. So I already pasted that in. I pasted that prompt in. The prompt is in pasted content.txt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the diary entries, put the diary entries in here, and put the problem-aware avatar in here as well. And the prompt is in pasted content.txt. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and while I run this, I'm going to go back over here. And when I say the brand identity and design system, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the brand identity and the brand essence. What's going to be the voice or the tone of your brand? Things that before you had to pay experts tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, to do this. What's your brand's narrative? What's the color palette for your brand? And what do each of those colors mean? What's your primary color, your secondary color, your functional color? What about your typography? What font family do you want to use for your brand? Do you want warm Miami colors? Do you want, Gothic colors? I don't know. I don't know enough about that. But what we're doing is we're summoning the best in the world to help us develop our brand. There's going to be these modern components. Like, for instance, if you go to 21st.dev, let me go here just so you can see it. If you go to 21st.dev, what you're going to see is I'm going to do browse components. You're going to tell the AI, go through here, and see if you can find things, like for instance, I'll take something like this. See if you can find components in here that might look good on your website, on your landing page. Go to, what's the other one it says go to? It says go to reactbits.dev and Magic UI. So it's telling you already, let me browse the components here. Maybe I want, decrypted text, I don't know. But you have all of these modern UI components. We call them micro interactions. You have all of these micro interactions. You don't know them, but you're telling the AI to integrate all of that there. So Manus is asking me some questions here. The brand design, okay, what should we do? Create a research. No, okay, all right, hold on one second. Let me look here. Let me tell it again. It's asking me a question. I want you to look at pasted content.txt because it has the prompt exclamation. Let me let that fly. It might make me copy and paste, but I'm going to see here in a second. Oh, you know why? Because I had it in there before. Oh, I know what it's doing. Now it's creating a research summary. I'm going to actually let it finish doing the research summary. And after it does that, I'm going to put this back in because this is the prompt it's supposed to be using right here. This is actually pretty good. Oh, actually, it's doing it anyway. The brand identity and design system. Okay, it just needed to get there. I had to be patient. But as you look through here, as it's building it out, you can see that it found its brand essence. Okay, the brand voice: professional, confident, reassuring, empathetic, clear, jargon-free explanations that respect educators' intelligence, making the AI accessible, solution-oriented. Right, so this is the brand narrative here. The colors. Right, so the primary colors are deep blue, representing trust, purple representing wisdom. Go back here. Actually, I am going to download this. And I go to the bottom of Manus over here. Let me give it an attaboy. Let me go up to my brand identity, though. This is what I want, right? So for my product, I have my primary colors, my secondary colors, my functional colors whenever I have warning, success, error, info, my typography, right? My fonts, font sizes, how far I wanted away from the edge. It went out to 21st.dev and it found the components that we're going to add to the site. These are the Magic UI components, React bits.dev components. So these are all of the everything that's related to my to the look and feel, right? My brand identity, extremely detailed. Okay, Tailwind, Daisy, and some custom utilities, right? I'm going to use Framer and Tailwind animations, right? So it's going to do all of this research for you, and as you look here, it's going to give you your entire brand identity and design system. So let's think about what we've done so far. We started off with research that gave us the problem-aware avatar. After we did that, we went in and we created 3 different diary entries. Then we went in and we just created a brand and design system for that business. Now the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to take all of that and we're going to create a specification for a landing page. A specification for a landing page. So I'm going to go back over here and I am going to paste in that prompt. And I'm just going to get this started. And once this starts over here, I'm just going to tell you what it says. It says take the original research, the diary entries, the brand identity. And what I want you to do is I want you to showcase, I want you to use that to build a landing page, is essentially what this is saying here. Take all of that research that you just did and use that to build a landing page, a home page for a website that speaks directly to that customer. In this case, it's a B2C SaaS landing page. I will probably change it a little bit if it were B2B, but you're going to want to know things like value proposition, benefits. You know, you want it to be converting. You want it to use the branding that you defined. You want social proof, product showcase, call to action. All right, you want all of these things here. All right, so it's still working, but you can see it's giving me my exact requirements for what my landing page should look like. So I am going to let this go, but while this is going, let me see if I can pick one. So it's your navigation bar. And then after your navigation bar, you have the first part of your website, which is, in this case, it's the hero section. And it says, stop drowning in AI hype, start teaching with productive struggle. The research-based approach that helps K-12 and college educators harness AI's power while preserving the cognitive effort that makes learning meaningful. That's going to be the visual right there. That's going to be your primary call to action. Transform your teaching today. Secondary call to action. Download a free chapter. Trust indicator. This is going to be every single detail, down to every color, every button, what the exact verbiage. This verbiage came from all of the research that you just did. Then after the hero section, there's going to be a problem section. You're not falling behind. You're being human. The solution section. What if AI could enhance your teaching instead of replacing it? Okay, so as you go through each one of these, it's gonna, as you go through each one of these, it's gonna detail everything in specific detail. Once you have all of these, I would download it and keep all of these together. Keep your problem-aware avatar, your diary entries, your branding, and your landing page requirements and specifications. You're going to keep all of those. So with that said, I think I'm going to stop here and I'll create another one that shows you how to start building stuff out in Cursor or Windsurf. So thank you very much. Hope you got some value out of this. Actually, I wanted to come back and just kind of follow up with one thing. If you take a look at the output and you don't like it, don't forget that you can go back and just reprompt this until you get it exactly how you want it. So when I looked at the output, I saw that I didn't like how the pricing, was configured. So I asked it to, hey, update the pricing. I said that, hey, I don't see the benefits. I need you to update this so that you can kind of more align this with my product. I want the landing page requirement to be much more robust. Specifically call out the components for the micro interactions, more meaningful micro interactions. I told it this is just blah. And so it gave it a second whack. went through, and I am much happier with the outcome this time. If you look here, this is a book sales platform. Obviously, your use case would be something different. But as I go through here, I like the pricing structure. It's clearer about the text specifications. It's much more robust. The sales copy is a whole lot better. So if you're not satisfied with what you see, don't forget that you can go back in and keep prompting this thing until you get it exactly where you want it. That's all, and I'll see you on the next side.